The champagne glass slipped from Brianna Walker's fingers, shattering on the polished hardwood floor of her future in-laws' mansion. She stood frozen in her emerald green cocktail dress, watching the only man she'd ever loved wrap his arms around her cousin Vanessa, their lips locked in a kiss that told everyone in the room exactly what had been going on behind Brianna's back. "I'm sorry, Bri," Tyler Henderson said, finally pulling away from Vanessa, his voice echoing through the suddenly silent engagement party. "I can't marry you. I'm in love with Vanessa. I've been in love with her for months." The room spun. Brianna's mother gasped. Her father reached for her, but she stepped back, shaking her head. This couldn't be happening. Not here. Not now. Not at the party celebrating her engagement to Tyler, the man she'd dated for 3 years, the man who'd proposed just 2 months ago on a beach at sunset. Vanessa, her own cousin who she'd grown up with, who'd been her maid of honor, stepped forward with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. "We didn't mean for it to happen this way, Brianna. But you have to understand. Tyler and I are soulmates. You're sweet, but you've always been a bit much. Too curvy, too loud, too opinionated. Tyler needs someone more refined." The words cut deeper than any knife could. Brianna looked around at the 60 guests who'd come to celebrate her happiness. Her friends from college avoided her eyes. Tyler's family looked uncomfortable but not surprised. Her own relatives whispered to each other, and she could already hear what they were thinking. Poor Brianna. Always the big girl. Always trying too hard. Of course Tyler would choose petite, elegant Vanessa over her. "Say something," Tyler demanded, his handsome face twisted with impatience. "Don't just stand there like a wounded animal." Brianna's throat tightened. She wanted to scream, to cry, to demand answers. How long had this been going on? When did Tyler stop loving her? Why wasn't she enough? Instead, she turned and walked toward the door, her heels clicking on the floor in the oppressive silence. Behind her, someone started the music again and she heard laughter. They were already moving on, already celebrating Tyler and Vanessa's love while she walked away from everything she'd thought her life would be. Outside, the October night air bit through her thin dress. She'd left her coat inside, but she couldn't go back. Not now. Not ever. She pulled her phone from her small purse with trembling hands and scrolled through her contacts, past Tyler's name, past her friends who were all inside at the party, past her family members who'd witnessed her humiliation. Then she saw it. A name she'd entered 6 months ago and never thought she'd actually call. Julian Bennett. She'd met him at a coffee shop on a random Tuesday morning. She'd been rushing to work, juggling her laptop bag and a stack of marketing proposals, when she'd literally crashed into him, spilling his coffee all over his expensive suit. She'd been mortified, apologizing over and over, offering to pay for the dry cleaning, but he just smiled at her with the kindest eyes she'd ever seen and said, "Accidents happen. You look like you're having a rough morning. Can I buy you a coffee?" They'd talked for 20 minutes. He'd been warm and funny, asking about her life, genuinely interested in her work as a marketing coordinator for a small advertising firm. When they parted ways, he'd handed her his business card. "If you ever need anything, call me. I mean that." She'd looked at the card later and nearly fainted. Julian Bennett. CEO of Bennett Technologies, one of the fastest-growing tech companies in the country. A billionaire. And he'd been so kind to her, a nobody who'd ruined his morning. Now, standing in the cold night with nowhere to go and no one to turn to, Brianna pressed his number before she could talk herself out of it. He answered on the second ring. Julian Bennett. "Mr. Bennett," she managed, her voice breaking. "This is Brianna Walker. We met at a coffee shop 6 months ago. I don't know why I'm calling. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have." "Brianna," his voice softened immediately. "I remember you. What's wrong? Are you in danger?" "No. Yes. I don't know." The tears started falling. "My fiancé just left me for my cousin at our engagement party, and everyone saw it happen, and I have nowhere to go because I gave up my apartment last month to move in with him next week, and I can't face anyone, and you said if I ever needed anything. Where are you right now?" His voice was calm, steady, exactly what she needed. She gave him the address of Tyler's parents' mansion. "Stay right where you are. I'm coming to get you. Don't go back inside. Don't talk to anyone. Just wait for me, okay?" "You don't have to do this," she whispered. "I'm nobody. I shouldn't have called." "Brianna, listen to me very carefully," Julian said, and she could hear rustling like he was already moving. "You are not nobody. You are a brilliant, kind woman who deserves so much better than what just happened to you. I'm 3 hours away, but I'm leaving right now. Will you wait for me?" She nodded, then realized he couldn't see her. "Yes, thank you." I'll wait. Brianna sat down on the cold stone steps of the mansion, hugging herself against the October chill. Inside, she could hear the party continuing, the music and laughter a cruel soundtrack to the worst night of her life. She thought about Tyler's words about how he couldn't marry her. She thought about Vanessa's comment about her being too much. Too curvy. Too loud. Too opinionated. Maybe they were right. Maybe she'd always been too much for Tyler to handle. Maybe she'd been fooling herself into thinking someone like him could truly love someone like her. Her phone buzzed. A text from her mother, "Come back inside, honey. We need to talk about this like adults." Then one from Vanessa, "I hope you can be happy for us eventually. Tyler and I are getting married next month. I'd love for you to be there." Brianna blocked both numbers and turned off her phone. Have you ever felt completely invisible to the people who were supposed to love you? Like you could disappear and no one would truly care? If this story speaks to you, hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments if you've ever had to start over from nothing. Your support helps me keep bringing you these real stories of hope and second chances. 3 hours felt like 3 days, but finally headlights swept into the circular driveway. A sleek silver car pulled up and Julian Bennett stepped out. He looked exactly as she remembered, tall, with warm brown skin, close-cropped black hair, and those kind eyes that had made her trust him 6 months ago. He wore jeans and a simple blue sweater, like he'd just grabbed whatever was closest when she called. "Brianna," he said softly, walking toward her. "Let's get you out of here." She stood on shaky legs. "I don't have my coat. Or my purse. Or anything. It's all inside." "We'll get you everything you need," he said, opening the passenger door for her. "Right now, you just need to be somewhere safe." As she slid into the warm car, Tyler burst out of the mansion. "Brianna, where the hell do you think you're going? We need to talk about the apartment lease and the deposits we put down for the wedding venue." Julian closed Brianna's door gently, then turned to face Tyler. He didn't raise his voice, didn't make threats. He simply said, "She'll contact you through a lawyer about any financial matters. Right now she's leaving. Don't contact her again." "Who the hell are you?" Tyler demanded. "Brianna, seriously? You're leaving with some random guy? This is exactly why we didn't work. You're so dramatic about everything." Julian got into the driver's seat and started the engine. As they pulled away, Brianna saw Tyler standing in the driveway, his face red with anger. Behind him, Vanessa and several party guests had come outside to watch. "Thank you," Brianna whispered as they turned onto the main road, the mansion disappearing behind them. "You didn't have to do this." "Yes, I did," Julian said simply. "Nobody deserves to be treated like that. I have a guest room at my house. You can stay as long as you need. Tomorrow we'll figure out everything else." "I can't accept that," she started to say, then stopped. She had nowhere else to go. Her pride had already been destroyed tonight. What did she have left to lose? "Actually, if the offer is real, I accept. Thank you. I'll find a way to pay you back." "I don't want you to pay me back," Julian said. "I want you to be okay. That's all." As they drove through the night, leaving her old life behind, Brianna felt the tears finally stop. She didn't know what tomorrow would bring, but for the first time in hours she felt like maybe, just maybe, she was going to survive this. The drive to Julian's house took another 2 hours. Brianna stayed quiet for most of it, watching the city lights give way to suburban streets and finally to a gated community nestled in the hills. She'd stopped crying, but her face felt tight from dried tears, and her hands still trembled when she tried to hold them still. "We're here," Julian said gently as they pulled up to a modern 2-story house with large windows and warm lights glowing inside. It was beautiful but not ostentatious, comfortable looking rather than intimidating. Inside, the house was even more welcoming. Hardwood floors, comfortable furniture in shades of blue and gray, and artwork that looked like it had been chosen because he actually liked it, not because some designer told him to buy it. "The guest room is upstairs, second door on the right," Julian said, setting his keys on a small table by the door. "The bathroom is connected and there should be fresh towels in the cabinet. I'll find you something to sleep in." "Julian," Brianna said, her voice hoarse. "Why are you doing this? You don't know me. We met once for 20 minutes 6 months ago." He turned to look at her, and his expression was so kind it almost broke her heart. "When I was 23, I lost everything in a business deal gone wrong. I was sleeping in my car, eating 1 meal a day and seriously considering giving up on my dreams. A stranger gave me a place to stay for 3 months, no questions asked, no strings attached. He told me that kindness creates ripples we can't always see, but that doesn't make them less real. I rebuilt my life because someone helped me when I needed it most. Now I'm helping you." Brianna felt fresh tears threaten but pushed them back. I'll find a job as soon as possible. I'll pay rent. Actually, Julian said, I might have a solution for both of us. Bennett Technologies is about to launch a major marketing campaign for our new software suite. Our marketing director just went on maternity leave unexpectedly early, and we need someone to step in and help coordinate the team. You mentioned you work in marketing. Any chance you'd be interested in a temporary position? She stared at him. Are you offering me a job? I'm offering you an opportunity, he corrected. You'd have to actually do the work and do it well. But yes, if you're interested, the job is yours. It pays well, it's a real position that needs filling, and it would give you income and purpose while you figure out what comes next. Every instinct told Brianna to refuse, to say she couldn't possibly accept so much help from someone who barely knew her. But then she thought about Tyler's face, about how he'd looked at her like she was worthless. She thought about Vanessa calling her too much. She thought about the fact that she literally had nowhere else to go and no other options. I accept, she said firmly. When do I start? Julian smiled and it transformed his whole face. Monday. That gives you the weekend to rest and get yourself together. Now let me show you to your room and I'll find you some clothes to sleep in. The guest room was perfect. A queen-sized bed with a soft blue comforter, a dresser, a small desk by the window, and the connected bathroom was stocked with everything she could need. Julian returned a few minutes later with a soft gray t-shirt and pajama pants. These will be too big but they're comfortable, he said, handing them to her. I'm right across the hall if you need anything. Don't hesitate to wake me up. After he left, Brianna sat on the edge of the bed, still wearing her emerald green cocktail dress. She looked at herself in the mirror above the dresser. Her makeup was smeared, her carefully styled hair was a mess, and her eyes were red and swollen. She looked like exactly what she was. A woman whose entire world had just fallen apart. But she was here. She was safe. And tomorrow she would start putting herself back together. She changed into Julian's clothes, which indeed swallowed her but felt soft and comforting. She washed her face, brushed her teeth with the new toothbrush she found in the bathroom cabinet, and climbed into bed. Sleep didn't come easy. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw Tyler and Vanessa kissing. She heard the whispers of the party guests. She felt the shame burning through her. But she also heard Julian's voice saying, "You are not nobody." She felt the kindness in his offer of help. She remembered that sometimes when everything falls apart, it's because something better is trying to come together. The next morning, Brianna woke to sunlight streaming through the windows and the smell of coffee drifting up from downstairs. She checked her phone and found 17 missed calls from Tyler, 12 texts from her mother, and 5 voicemails from Vanessa. She deleted all of them without listening or reading. When she went downstairs, she found Julian in the kitchen making breakfast. He'd changed into jeans and a maroon sweater, and he looked up with a smile when she appeared. "Good morning," he said. "How did you sleep?" "Better than I expected," she admitted. "Thank you again for everything." "You're welcome. I made eggs and toast and there's fresh fruit if you want it. Coffee is in the pot." They sat at his kitchen table and ate together, and Brianna realized this was the first time in months she'd had breakfast with someone who actually listened when she talked. Tyler had always been on his phone during meals, barely acknowledging her presence. "So," Julian said after a while, "we need to get you some clothes and basic necessities. After breakfast we can go shopping if you're up for it." "I have some money saved," Brianna said quickly. "Not a lot, but enough to buy some basics until I get my first paycheck from you." "Good," Julian said. "Then we'll go shopping and you can buy what you need. I'll drive you and help carry bags, but this is your fresh start, so you should choose everything yourself." They spent the afternoon at various stores. Brianna bought professional clothes for work. 3 pairs of dress pants, 5 blouses in different colors, a blue blazer, comfortable shoes. She bought casual clothes for weekends. Jeans, t-shirts, a warm red jacket. She bought toiletries, a new laptop bag and basic necessities. Julian waited patiently through all of it, offering opinions when she asked but mostly just being a steady, calming presence. When she started to feel overwhelmed in one store, seeing happy couples shopping together and remembering how she and Tyler used to do the same thing, Julian gently guided her outside for fresh air. "It's going to hurt for a while," he said as they sat on a bench outside the mall. "That's normal. You loved him and he betrayed that love. But I promise you, Brianna, it will get better. One day you'll wake up and realize you haven't thought about him in hours. Then days. Then weeks. And eventually you'll look back and be grateful this happened because it led you to something better." "How do you know?" she asked. "Because I've been there," he said. Different circumstances but same pain. I dated a woman for 4 years who left me the moment my business failed. She told me she couldn't be with someone who wasn't successful. It destroyed me for a while. But looking back, I'm grateful she left because she showed me who she really was, and I deserved better. Did you find better? Brianna asked. Julian looked at her for a long moment. I think I might have, he said quietly. But that's a conversation for another day. Right now, let's get you home and settled. That word home shouldn't have felt as good as it did. Monday morning arrived faster than Brianna expected. She stood in front of the mirror in her new blue dress pants and crisp white blouse, her hair pulled back in a professional bun, and took a deep breath. She looked like someone who had her life together. Now she just needed to actually have her life together. Julian was waiting downstairs with coffee and toast. Ready for your first day? Nervous, she admitted. What if everyone knows what happened? What if they think I only got this job because you felt sorry for me? Then they'd be wrong on both counts, Julian said firmly. I looked at your resume over the weekend. You're overqualified for this position if anything. You have 5 years of marketing experience, you've managed successful campaigns, and your references are outstanding. You earned this job. I'm just the one who was smart enough to hire you. His confidence in her settled her nerves a little. They drove to Bennett Technologies together, and Brianna's eyes widened when she saw the building. It was a sleek glass structure, modern and impressive, with the company name in bold letters across the front. Inside, the office was bustling with activity. Employees hurried past with tablets and folders, conversations about code and deadlines filled the air, and everything hummed with productive energy. Julian led her to the marketing department on the 3rd floor. The team was already gathered in a conference room, and they looked up when Julian and Brianna entered. Everyone, this is Brianna Walker, Julian announced. She's joining us as our interim marketing director while Jennifer is on maternity leave. Brianna brings excellent experience from her previous position, and I'm confident she'll do outstanding work for us. Please make her feel welcome. A woman with kind eyes and dark skin stood up first. I'm Patricia Johnson, senior copywriter. Welcome to the team, Brianna. We're so glad to have you. One by one, the others introduced themselves. There was Tom Chin. Wait, no, the user said no Chin. Let me revise. One by one, the others introduced themselves. There was Tom Richards, a graphic designer with an easy smile. Rachel Kim, who handled social media. Anthony Brown, who managed analytics. And several others whose names Brianna tried desperately to remember. They spent the morning going over the current campaign for Bennett Technologies' new software suite. The product was impressive. A comprehensive business management system that integrated everything from customer relations to inventory tracking. The marketing challenge was communicating its value to small and medium-sized businesses without overwhelming them with technical jargon. Our main problem, Patricia explained, is that we've been so focused on listing features that we've lost sight of the actual benefits to the customer. People don't care about how many modules we have. They care about how this will make their lives easier. Brianna listened carefully, taking notes and asking questions. By lunchtime, her head was spinning with information, but she also felt energized in a way she hadn't in months. This work mattered. These people were counting on her. She had purpose again. Julian appeared at noon. How's your first morning going? Good, Brianna said, surprised to realize it was true. Really good, actually. Your team is great, and this campaign is challenging but exciting. I knew you'd do well, he said. Want to grab lunch? I know a good sandwich place around the corner. They walked to a small cafe, and Brianna found herself relaxing as they talked about work, about the campaign, about ideas she was already forming for how to improve their messaging. You're really good at this, Julian observed. The way you immediately saw what was wrong with the current approach and started thinking about solutions. That's a rare skill. I love marketing, Brianna admitted. I love figuring out how to connect products with people who need them. I love finding the story in the features. My old job was fine, but they never really let me stretch my creative muscles. This feels different. That's because you're different, Julian said. You're not trying to fit into someone else's idea of who you should be. You're just being yourself. His words hit harder than he probably intended. Tyler had always criticized her ideas, calling them too bold or too risky. He'd made her doubt herself at every turn. But here, in this new place with these new people, she was being appreciated for exactly who she was. The afternoon flew by. Brianna worked with Patricia to revise some of the campaign copy, making it more focused on customer benefits. She collaborated with Tom on visual concepts that would support the new messaging. She started building a project timeline that would keep everyone on track. When 6 o'clock rolled around, she was surprised to find the entire team still working. "We usually stay until things are done rather than watching the clock," Patricia explained with a smile. "Julian pays us well and treats us like adults. We return the favor by actually caring about our work." At 7, Julian knocked on the conference room door. "Okay, everyone out. Go home to your families. This will all still be here tomorrow." As people packed up, several team members stopped to tell Brianna they were glad she joined them. The warmth in their voices wasn't fake. They genuinely meant it. On the drive home, Brianna felt lighter than she had in days. "Thank you," she told Julian. "For the job, for the team, for believing I could do this." "You're thanking me for giving you an opportunity to show how talented you are?" Julian shook his head. "Brianna, you're doing me the favor. That team needed strong leadership and you gave it to them on your very first day. I should be thanking you." That night, after a simple dinner of pasta and salad that they made together, Brianna sat in her room and finally opened her laptop. She found an email from her mother, begging her to come home and work things out with Tyler like a mature adult. There was another email from Tyler himself, saying he'd made a mistake and wanted to talk. She deleted both without responding. That part of her life was over. This new life, the one where she was valued and respected and allowed to shine, was just beginning. She opened a fresh document and started brainstorming ideas for the campaign. Words and concepts flowed easily, and she realized she was smiling as she worked. For the first time since the disaster at her engagement party, she felt like herself again. Maybe even better than herself. Maybe she was becoming who she was always meant to be. The next 3 weeks passed in a blur of productive work and steady healing. Brianna threw herself into the marketing campaign, and the results were immediate and impressive. The new messaging she developed with the team tested significantly better with focus groups. The visuals Tom created based on her concepts were striking and memorable. Even the company's CEO. Wait, Julian was the CEO. Let me rephrase. Even Julian's business partners commented on how much stronger the campaign had become since Brianna joined. Every day fell into a comfortable rhythm. She and Julian would have coffee together in the morning while discussing the day ahead. She'd work with her team, genuinely enjoying the collaborative atmosphere and the freedom to try new ideas. Julian would often stop by the marketing department, not to micromanage but to see how things were progressing and offer support where needed. Lunches became a regular thing. Sometimes they'd go out to the sandwich place. Other times they'd order in and eat in Julian's office while discussing everything from campaign strategy to their favorite books to their childhoods. Brianna learned that Julian had grown up poor in a small town, the son of a single mother who worked 3 jobs to keep them housed and fed. He'd put himself through community college, then transferred to a state university, working the entire time. His first business venture had failed spectacularly, leaving him broke and homeless at 23. But he'd rebuilt, learning from his mistakes, and created Bennett Technologies at 27. Now, at 35, he was one of the most successful tech entrepreneurs in the country. "I never forget where I came from," he told her over Chinese takeout one afternoon. "That's why I pay my employees well and offer good benefits. That's why I donated money to build a community center in my hometown. That's why I helped you when you called. Money doesn't mean anything if you don't use it to make life better for people." Brianna shared her own story too. Growing up as a curvy girl in a family of thin, conventionally attractive people. Always feeling like she was too much, too loud, too opinionated, too present. Tyler had seemed to accept her at first, but over time, his little criticisms had worn away at her confidence. Maybe if she dressed differently. Maybe if she lost weight. Maybe if she laughed less loudly. Maybe if she made herself smaller in every way. "He tried to make you disappear," Julian said, anger flashing in his eyes. "That's not love. Love is supposed to make you more yourself, not less." His words stayed with her, settling into the cracks Tyler had left in her self-esteem and slowly filling them with something stronger. At work, Brianna's relationship with her team deepened. Patricia became a good friend, often staying late with Brianna to perfect copy until every word was exactly right. Tom brought her coffee every morning without being asked, learning quickly that she liked it with just a little cream. Rachel started coming to Brianna with personal problems, trusting her advice. Anthony praised her analytical thinking, saying she understood data better than most marketers. For weeks after she'd started, Julian called Brianna into his office. She went nervously, wondering if she'd done something wrong. "Sit down," he said, gesturing to the comfortable chair across from his desk. "I've been reviewing your work over the past month." Her heart sank. Here it came. The moment he told her she wasn't good enough after all. "You've exceeded every expectation I had," Julian continued, smiling at her surprised expression. The campaign is ahead of schedule and performing better than we projected. Your team loves working with you. Our business partners are impressed. Brianna, I know this was supposed to be a temporary position, but I'd like to offer you the job permanently. And not just as interim director. I want you to be our official marketing director with a full salary, benefits, and a title that reflects the value you bring to this company. Brianna's eyes filled with tears. Really? Really? Julian said softly. You've earned this. Not because I like you, though I do. Not because I want to help you, though I do. But because you're genuinely talented at what you do, and this company is better with you in it. I accept, she said immediately, remembering his advice to take help when it was offered. Thank you, Julian. You've given me back my life. No, he said, standing and walking around the desk to sit in the chair beside hers. You gave yourself back your life. I just provided the opportunity. You did the hard work. That evening they celebrated at a nice restaurant downtown. Julian wore a sharp blue suit, and Brianna wore a red dress she'd bought the previous weekend. They talked and laughed, sharing stories and dreams, and Brianna realized somewhere between the appetizer and the main course that she was having more fun with Julian than she'd ever had with Tyler. Tyler had always made everything about himself. His job, his problems, his interests. Brianna had spent 3 years molding herself around his needs, and he'd still found her lacking. Julian asked about her interests. He listened when she talked about her dream of one day running her own marketing consultancy. He encouraged her ideas and celebrated her successes. He made her feel seen and valued in a way she'd never experienced before. Can I ask you something personal? Brianna said as they walked back to the car after dinner. Of course. Why aren't you married? Or dating? You're successful, kind, and, well, let's be honest, you're very attractive. How are you single? Julian laughed, but there was something sad in it. I dated seriously twice. The first woman left when my business failed, as I mentioned. The second woman stayed through the success, but I eventually realized she loved my money and status, not me. She wanted the billionaire lifestyle, not an actual partnership. After that, I decided I'd rather be alone than be with someone who saw me as a trophy or a bank account. That must be lonely, Brianna said softly. It was, Julian agreed. But lately it's been less lonely. Something in his tone made her look at him, and the expression on his face was so tender it made her breath catch. But before she could process what she was seeing, he looked away and opened her car door. On the drive home, Brianna's phone buzzed. Against her better judgment, she looked at it. A text from Vanessa. Tyler and I are getting married in 6 weeks. I'm sending you an invitation because family is important. I hope you can be happy for us. The happiness from dinner evaporated. 6 weeks. They were getting married in 6 weeks. Her 3-year relationship, her plans for the future, everything she'd thought she was building with Tyler, and he was marrying her cousin just months after humiliating her. What's wrong? Julian asked, glancing at her. Vanessa and Tyler are getting married in 6 weeks, Brianna said, her voice flat. She's sending me an invitation. Julian pulled the car over into a parking lot and turned to face her. Are you okay? I don't know, Brianna admitted. I thought I was over it. I thought I'd moved on. But hearing that they're actually getting married, it hurts. It makes me feel like I didn't matter at all. Like our 3 years together were nothing. You mattered, Julian said firmly. He's the one who's broken, not you. He gave up something precious because he was too foolish to see its value. That's his loss, not your failure. Will you come with me? The words tumbled out before Brianna could stop them. To the wedding. I know it's a lot to ask, but I can't face them alone. I can't walk in there by myself and watch them celebrate while everyone looks at me with pity. Sometimes the hardest thing is facing the people who hurt you and showing them you survived. If you've ever had to confront your past while building your future, drop a comment below. And if you're not subscribed yet, hit that button now because you won't want to miss how this story ends. Of course I'll come with you, Julian said without hesitation. You'll never have to face them alone. I promise you that. Brianna leaned back in her seat, feeling some of the tension ease from her shoulders. She had 6 weeks to prepare. 6 weeks to make sure that when she walked into that wedding, she did it with her head high and her dignity intact. And she wouldn't be doing it alone. That made all the difference. The cream-colored envelope arrived on a Saturday morning, exactly 2 days after Vanessa's text. Brianna had just finished her coffee and was reading a marketing book when Julian brought in the mail. This one has your name on it, he said, handing her the thick envelope with elegant calligraphy on the front. Brianna's hands shook as she opened it. Inside was a formal wedding invitation printed on expensive cardstock. Vanessa Marie Walker and Tyler James Henderson request the honor of your presence at their wedding. The date was November 15th, exactly 6 weeks away. The location was the Grand Rose Hotel, one of the most expensive venues in the city. Also inside was a handwritten note from Vanessa. Dear Brianna, I know this might be hard for you, but I really want you there. Your family and Tyler and I want to start our marriage with everyone we love present. I'm hoping enough time has passed that you can celebrate with us. Please say you'll come. Love, Vanessa. The audacity of it made Brianna's blood boil. Vanessa had stolen her fiancé, humiliated her in front of everyone they knew, and now wanted her to show up and celebrate their happiness like nothing had happened? Julian read the invitation over her shoulder. That's in really poor taste. Poor taste doesn't begin to cover it, Brianna said, crumpling the note. She actually thinks I should be happy for them. She actually believes we can all just be one big happy family after what they did. You don't have to go, Julian reminded her. You can throw this away and never think about it again. But I want to go, Brianna said, surprising herself with the certainty in her voice. I want to walk in there looking amazing and successful and happy. I want them to see that I didn't fall apart without Tyler. I want everyone who witnessed my humiliation to see that I built something better. Then that's what we'll do, Julian said. Starting today, we have 6 weeks to make sure you walk into that wedding feeling like the incredible woman you are. Over the next few weeks, preparation for the wedding became Brianna's mission. Not because she wanted Tyler back or even because she cared what he thought anymore, but because she needed to prove to herself that she'd survived. That she'd done more than survive. She'd thrived. Julian helped with everything. He took her shopping for a dress, insisting she choose something that made her feel powerful and beautiful. They went to 3 different boutiques before Brianna found it. A stunning emerald green gown that hugged her curves perfectly and made her feel like royalty. It wasn't cheap, but Julian handed over his credit card before she could protest. Consider it an early Christmas present, he said when she tried to refuse. You're going to that wedding and you're going to look phenomenal. They practiced conversation scenarios. What would she say if Tyler tried to talk to her? What if Vanessa wanted to introduce her to people as, my cousin who Tyler used to date? What if someone asked her pointed questions about being there alone? You won't be alone, Julian reminded her each time. I'll be right there with you. And if anyone asks, you can introduce me however you're comfortable. As your boss, your friend, or your date. Whatever feels right to you. My date, Brianna said, testing the words. They felt good. Right. I'll introduce you as my date. Julian's smile was warm. Then your date I'll be. At work, the campaign continued to exceed expectations. They'd launched the first phase and the response was overwhelming. Sign-ups for the software were triple what they'd projected. The sales team was ecstatic. The board of directors praised Brianna's work in their monthly meeting. You're going to get a significant bonus when this campaign wraps up, Julian told her one afternoon. The board voted to increase marketing budget by 30% for next year based on your results. I'm just doing my job, Brianna said, but she couldn't hide her pleasure at the recognition. You're doing exceptional work, Julian corrected. There's a difference. Patricia noticed the extra attention Julian paid to Brianna. One day she pulled Brianna aside during their lunch break. Can I ask you something personal? Patricia said carefully. Of course. Are you and Julian? Is there something between you two? Because the way he looks at you, that's not how a boss looks at an employee. Brianna felt heat rise in her cheeks. We're friends. He helped me when I was going through a hard time and I'm grateful. Honey, Patricia said gently, that man is in love with you. I've worked here for 5 years, and I've never seen Julian look at anyone the way he looks at you. The question is, how do you feel about him? Brianna started to give an automatic answer, but Patricia's question made her pause and really think. How did she feel about Julian? She thought about their morning coffees, how she looked forward to seeing him first thing each day. She thought about their lunch conversations, how he made her laugh and challenged her thinking. She thought about living in his house for the past 6 weeks, how natural and comfortable it felt. She thought about the way her heart sped up when he smiled at her, the way she noticed details about him like how he ran his hand through his hair when he was thinking hard or how his eyes crinkled when he laughed. Oh no, Brianna whispered. Patricia, I think I'm falling for him. And that's a bad thing? Patricia asked with a knowing smile. It's terrible timing, Brianna said. I just got out of a serious relationship. I'm still technically living in his house. He's my boss. And what if I'm just confusing gratitude with actual feelings? What if I hurt him because I can't tell the difference? Or, Patricia suggested, what if you're falling for him because he's a genuinely good man who treats you the way you deserve to be treated? What if this is exactly the right timing because you're finally free to be with someone who actually sees your value? Brianna didn't have an answer to that. She spent the rest of the day thinking about Julian, noticing things she'd been trying not to notice. The way he brought her favorite tea without being asked. The way he'd learned she didn't like onions and never ordered food with them. The way he defended her ideas in meetings. The way he looked at her when he thought she wasn't paying attention. That evening, as they made dinner together, another routine that had developed naturally, Julian seemed nervous. "Can I talk to you about something?" he asked as he chopped vegetables for a salad. "Always," Brianna said, stirring pasta sauce on the stove. "I've been thinking about the wedding," Julian began. "About going with you as your date. And I realized I need to be honest with you about something." Brianna's stomach tightened. "What is it?" Julian set down the knife and turned to face her fully. "Brianna, I need you to know that I'm not doing this just to help you. I mean, I am helping you, but that's not the only reason I want to be there. The truth is, I want to be your date. I want people to see us together. I want Tyler to see us together and realize what an idiot he was to let you go." "Julian?" Brianna started, but he held up a hand. "Let me finish. I know the timing is complicated. I know you're still healing from what Tyler did. I know there are professional considerations since I'm your boss. But I need you to know that somewhere along the way I stopped thinking of you as just a friend I was helping. I care about you, Brianna. Really care about you. And if there's any chance that you might feel the same way, I needed to tell you before we go to this wedding together." Brianna's heart pounded. She turned off the stove and moved to stand in front of him. "Can I ask you something?" "Anything. When did you start having feelings for me?" Julian's laugh was soft and slightly embarrassed. "Honestly? 6 months ago in that coffee shop. You spilled coffee all over me, and instead of getting angry, I thought you were the most genuine person I'd met in years. You were flustered and apologetic and completely yourself. I gave you my card hoping you'd call, and when you did. Brianna, the only reason I was 3 hours away that night was because I was at a business conference. I left during an important dinner meeting to come get you. And I'd do it again in a heartbeat." "I'm scared," Brianna admitted. "Tyler made me doubt everything about myself. What if I'm just drawn to you because you're the opposite of him? What if this is rebound? What if I mess this up because I don't know how to trust my own feelings anymore?" Julian reached out and gently took her hand. "Those are all valid fears. And I'm not asking you to have all the answers right now. I'm just asking you to be honest with yourself about what you feel. We can take this as slow as you need. We can wait until after the wedding. We can wait until you're not working for me anymore if that makes you more comfortable. I'm not going anywhere, Brianna. I'll wait as long as it takes." Brianna looked at their joined hands, then up at his face. The kindness in his eyes was real. The patience was real. The feelings were real. "I care about you too," she said softly. "More than I probably should given everything that's happened. But I need time to figure out what that means. Can we just keep being us for now? And maybe after the wedding we can talk about this again." "Absolutely," Julian said, squeezing her hand before letting go. "For now, we're friends getting ready to show your ex exactly what he lost. Everything else can wait." But as they finished making dinner and sat down to eat, Brianna couldn't stop thinking about Patricia's question. How did she really feel about Julian Bennett? And more importantly, was she brave enough to find out? The days leading up to the wedding flew by in a whirlwind of activity. At work, Brianna was wrapping up the final phase of the marketing campaign. The software launch had been so successful that Bennett Technology's stock price had jumped 12%. And Julian's business partners were already discussing expansion into international markets. "You did this," Julian told Brianna as they reviewed the final numbers in his office. "This success is because of your vision and leadership." "The team did this," Brianna corrected. "I just helped guide them." "That's what great leaders do," Julian said. "They bring out the best in their people. You're a natural, Brianna." The praise warmed her, but not as much as the look in his eyes when he said it. Since their conversation in the kitchen 2 weeks ago, something had shifted between them. They were still friends, still professional at work, but there was an undercurrent of awareness now. Brianna found herself noticing the way Julian's suit jacket fit his shoulders, the sound of his laugh, the warmth of his hand when he occasionally touched her arm while making a point. She caught him looking at her sometimes when he thought she wasn't paying attention. And when their eyes met, the connection was electric. But they'd agreed to wait until after the wedding to explore whatever this was between them. So Brianna focused on preparing for the confrontation with Tyler and Vanessa. 3 days before the wedding, Julian took her to get her hair and nails done at an upscale salon. The stylist created an elegant updo that showcased Brianna's face while leaving a few curls framing her cheeks. Her nails were painted a deep red that matched her confidence. "You look stunning," the stylist said when she was finished. "Whoever he is, he's a lucky man." Brianna met Julian's eyes in the mirror and saw something intense there before he looked away. 2 days before the wedding, they went shopping for Julian's outfit. He tried on several suits before settling on a charcoal gray three-piece with a blue tie that brought out his eyes. When he stepped out of the dressing room, Brianna's breath caught. "What do you think?" he asked, turning so she could see the full effect. "I think Tyler is going to be very, very sorry," Brianna managed to say, which made Julian laugh. The night before the wedding, neither of them could sleep. Brianna found Julian in the kitchen at midnight making hot chocolate. "Couldn't sleep either?" he asked, handing her a mug. "Too much on my mind," she admitted. They sat at the kitchen table, just like they had that first morning after he'd rescued her. So much had changed in 2 months. "Are you nervous about tomorrow?" Julian asked. "Nervous, angry, sad, hopeful. All of it at once," Brianna said. "Part of me wants to march in there and tell Tyler and Vanessa exactly what I think of them. But another part of me just wants to show them I'm fine. Better than fine. That they didn't break me." "They didn't break you," Julian said firmly. "They tried, but you're too strong for that. You took a devastating situation and turned it into an opportunity. You rebuilt your life. You found success. You surrounded yourself with people who actually value you. That's not broken. That's remarkable." "I couldn't have done it without you," Brianna said softly. "You could have," Julian countered. "You would have found a way. I just happened to be the path you took. But the strength, the determination, the brilliance, that's all you." They talked until 2 in the morning, reminiscing about the past 2 months, laughing about some of the disasters that had happened during the campaign, like when Tom accidentally sent the client presentation to the entire company instead of just the board, and carefully not talking about what would happen after the wedding. Finally, Julian stood up. "We should get some sleep. Tomorrow's going to be a big day." "Julian," Brianna said as he reached the kitchen doorway. "Thank you. For everything. I know I've said it before, but I need you to know, you saved my life that night. Not just literally by coming to get me, but in every way that matters. You gave me back myself." He turned back to look at her, and the expression on his face made her heart race. "Brianna, saving you saved me too. I didn't realize how empty my life had become until you filled it with light. So thank you for letting me help. Thank you for trusting me. Thank you for being exactly who you are." After he went upstairs, Brianna sat alone in the kitchen for a long time, her cooling hot chocolate forgotten. She thought about the past 2 months, about how much she'd changed. She'd gone from a woman who made herself small to please her partner to a woman who took up space unapologetically. She'd gone from doubting her abilities to leading a successful team. She'd gone from heartbroken to, well, to whatever she was now. And tomorrow she'd face the people who tried to destroy her, and she'd show them she'd done more than survive. She'd flourished. The morning of the wedding dawned bright and clear. Brianna took extra care with her makeup, applying it carefully to enhance her features without looking overdone. She stepped into her emerald green gown and looked at herself in the mirror. The woman looking back at her was confident, beautiful, and strong. She barely recognized herself from the broken person who'd sat on those mansion steps 2 months ago, waiting for Julian to rescue her. She didn't need rescuing anymore. But she was very glad he was coming with her anyway. Julian knocked on her door at exactly 2 o'clock. When she opened it, his expression made everything worthwhile. "Brianna," he breathed. Wow. You clean up pretty well yourself," she said, taking in his perfectly tailored suit and the way he'd styled his hair. He offered her his arm. "Ready to do this?" "Ready," she confirmed, linking her arm through his. As they drove to the Grand Rose Hotel, Brianna's nerves started to show. Her hands trembled slightly and she kept fidgeting with her clutch purse. Julian reached over and gently took her hand. "Hey, look at me." She did. "You are going to walk in there with your head high," he said. "You are going to be gracious and kind because that's who you are. And when Tyler realizes what he lost, when Vanessa sees how amazing you are, when everyone in that room understands that you came out of this situation better than ever, that will be your victory. Not because you got revenge, but because you became the best version of yourself." Brianna squeezed his hand, drawing strength from his steady presence. "What if I fall apart? Then I'll be right there to catch you," Julian promised. "But you won't. You're going to be magnificent." When they pulled up to the Grand Rose Hotel, Brianna took a deep breath. The building was as elegant as she remembered from the one time she and Tyler had attended a friend's wedding there. Fairy lights twinkled in the evening air, and well-dressed guests were already making their way inside. Julian parked and came around to open her door. He offered his hand and she took it, stepping out of the car with her head high and her shoulders back. Together they walked toward the entrance. Brianna was about to face her past, armed with her present and ready to claim her future. Whatever that future held. The Grand Rose Hotel's ballroom was decorated like something out of a fairy tale. White roses everywhere, crystal chandeliers casting soft light, elegant table settings with gold accents. Vanessa had clearly spared no expense for her dream wedding. The wedding that was supposed to have been Brianna's. But looking at it all now, Brianna felt nothing but relief. This wasn't her style at all. She would have wanted something simpler, more personal. Tyler had never asked what she wanted. He just assumed she'd go along with whatever his family expected. "You okay?" Julian murmured as they entered the reception area where cocktails were being served before the ceremony. "Better than okay," Brianna said, surprised to find it was true. "I'm actually glad this isn't my wedding." Several heads turned as they walked in. Brianna recognized people from Tyler's family, colleagues from his law firm, and some of her own relatives who'd chosen Vanessa's side in the breakup. She held her head high and smiled pleasantly at everyone who met her eyes. "Brianna?" Her Aunt Gloria approached, looking shocked. "I didn't think you'd actually come." "Wouldn't miss it," Brianna said smoothly. "Aunt Gloria, this is Julian Bennett." "Julian, my aunt." "Pleasure to meet you," Julian said, shaking her hand with easy charm. "Bennett?" Aunt Gloria's eyes widened. "Not the Bennett Technologies Bennett?" "The very same," Julian confirmed with a smile. Aunt Gloria looked between them, clearly trying to process this development. Well, it's good to see you, Brianna. You look wonderful." "Thank you," Brianna said. "You look lovely too." As her aunt walked away, clearly eager to spread this gossip, Julian leaned down to whisper in Brianna's ear. "One down. How many more relatives do we need to impress?" Brianna laughed despite her nerves. "Too many to count." They made their way through the cocktail hour, and Brianna was amazed at how different this experience was with Julian by her side. People who'd pitted her after the breakup now looked at her with new interest. The whispers weren't about "poor Brianna" anymore. They were about, "Did you know she's dating a billionaire? And she looks incredible, and Tyler must be kicking himself." Tyler's mother, Catherine Henderson, approached them near the bar. She'd always been cold to Brianna, making it clear that she didn't think Brianna was good enough for her precious son. "Brianna," Catherine said stiffly. "I'm surprised to see you here." "Mrs. Henderson," Brianna replied with genuine warmth. "Thank you for including me. Congratulations on Tyler's wedding." Catherine's eyes narrowed slightly as if waiting for sarcasm, but Brianna's tone was sincere. Let them have their happiness. She had something better. "This is Julian Bennett," Brianna continued. "Julian, Tyler's mother." "Mrs. Henderson," Julian said, offering his hand. "You have a beautiful family." Catherine shook his hand and Brianna could see her reassessing the situation. A billionaire CEO. At her son's wedding. With a woman her son had publicly dumped. "I hope you both enjoy the ceremony," Catherine said carefully before excusing herself. "That was interesting," Julian observed. "That was her being polite for possibly the first time since I've known her," Brianna said. "Money talks apparently." "Hey," Julian turned her to face him. "You're not here because of my money. You're here because you're strong enough to face this with grace. Don't let anyone make you feel like you need me to validate your worth." His words steadied her. He was right. She wasn't hiding behind his wealth. She was simply choosing to face this difficult situation with support from someone who cared about her. The ceremony was about to begin, and guests started filing into the ballroom. Brianna and Julian found seats near the back. As they sat down, Brianna felt Julian take her hand and give it a reassuring squeeze. The music started and the wedding party began their procession. Brianna watched Tyler take his place at the altar, looking nervous in his tuxedo. He scanned the crowd and when his eyes landed on Brianna, he visibly startled. Then Vanessa appeared at the back of the aisle in a white dress that probably cost more than Brianna's car. She looked beautiful and radiant, exactly like a bride should look. As she walked past Brianna's row, their eyes met. Vanessa's step faltered slightly, surprise flickering across her face at seeing Brianna there, looking confident and happy with Julian by her side. The ceremony itself was traditional and tasteful. Brianna listened to Tyler and Vanessa exchange vows about forever love and unwavering commitment, and she felt Nothing. No pain, no jealousy, no regret. Just a mild curiosity about how long those vows would actually last given how their relationship had started. When the officiant pronounced them husband and wife and Tyler kissed Vanessa, Brianna joined in the polite applause. Julian leaned over and whispered, "You're doing great." The reception that followed was elegant and lively. A band played, champagne flowed, and people danced and celebrated. Brianna and Julian stayed mostly to themselves, talking quietly at their table and occasionally dancing when the music was particularly good. Julian was an excellent dancer, guiding Brianna smoothly across the floor. Being in his arms felt natural and right, and Brianna found herself relaxing into the evening, actually enjoying herself despite the circumstances. "Having fun?" Julian asked as they swayed to a slow song. "Surprisingly, yes," Brianna admitted. "Thank you for being here with me. There's nowhere else I'd rather be," he said, and the sincerity in his voice made her heart skip. The moment shattered when someone tapped Brianna's shoulder. She turned to find Tyler standing there, his expression unreadable. "Can I cut in?" he asked, looking at Julian. Julian looked at Brianna, clearly deferring to her choice. She could say no. She could walk away. But she found she wanted this conversation. Needed it, maybe, to close this chapter completely. "It's okay," she told Julian. "I'll be fine." Julian stepped back reluctantly, his eyes never leaving her as Tyler took his place. "You came," Tyler said as they began to dance, his hand at her waist feeling wrong compared to Julian's touch. "Vanessa invited me," Brianna said. It seemed important to her. "You look amazing," Tyler said, his eyes roaming over her in a way that made her uncomfortable. "I've never seen you look like this." "Like what?" "Happy. Confident. Like you've got everything figured out." "I'm working on it," Brianna said carefully. "Is that guy really Julian Bennett? The tech billionaire?" Tyler asked. "Yes." "Are you two together?" Brianna considered lying but decided on honesty. "We're figuring that out." Tyler's jaw tightened. "You sure moved on fast." "Tyler, you left me for my cousin at our engagement party," Brianna said quietly but firmly. "You announced your marriage to her 2 months later. You don't get to judge my timeline for moving on." "I made a mistake," Tyler said suddenly, his grip on her waist tightening. "Brianna, I've been thinking about this for weeks. Vanessa isn't you. She's what I thought I wanted, but you're what I actually need. You're kind and smart and real. I should never have let you go." Brianna stared at him in disbelief. "Are you seriously saying this at your wedding reception? While your wife is 20 feet away?" "I'm saying it because I can't let you leave here thinking I don't care," Tyler said. "We were good together. We could be good again. That guy, he's just a rebound. You're grateful to him for helping you, but that's not love. You and me, we have history. We have something real." Before Brianna could respond, a hand gripped Tyler's shoulder and firmly pulled him away from her. Julian stood between them, his expression calm but his eyes hard. "The dance is over," Julian said quietly. "Time to get back to your wife." "Who the hell do you think you are?" Tyler demanded. "I'm the man who sees Brianna's value," Julian said. "I'm the man who would never ever make her doubt herself or ask her to be less than she is. I'm the man who's smart enough to know that when you find someone extraordinary, you hold on tight and count yourself lucky every single day. You had that chance and you blew it. Don't compound your mistakes by trying to ruin what she's building now." People were starting to notice the confrontation. Brianna saw Vanessa hurrying over, her face flushed with anger. "What's going on here?" Vanessa demanded. "Your husband was just expressing some regrets," Julian said evenly. Brianna was setting him straight. "Tyler?" Vanessa looked at her new husband with dawning horror. "What did you say to her?" "Nothing," Tyler said quickly. "Just congratulating her on moving on." Brianna could have exposed him. Could have told Vanessa exactly what Tyler had just confessed. But looking at her cousin's face, seeing the beginning of doubt already creeping in, Brianna realized she didn't need revenge. Tyler would sabotage his own happiness eventually. He always did. "Congratulations on your marriage," Brianna said to both of them. "I hope you'll be very happy together." She took Julian's offered arm and walked away, leaving Tyler and Vanessa to their new life together. As they headed toward the exit, Brianna felt lighter with every step. Outside, in the cool November air, Julian turned to her with concern. "Are you okay? What did he say to you?" "He said he made a mistake and wants me back," Brianna said, then laughed at the absurdity of it. "At his own wedding. With his new wife right there. He actually thought I'd want him back." "The man is an idiot," Julian said firmly. Yes, Brianna agreed. Yes, he really is. And you know what? I'm so glad I'm not with him anymore. I'm glad this happened. Because if it hadn't, I never would have called you. I never would have found this job. I never would have discovered who I really am when I'm not trying to fit into someone else's idea of who I should be. Julian's expression softened. Brianna. I'm not finished, she interrupted. You asked me 2 weeks ago to think about how I feel about you. To be honest with myself. And I have been. Every day. Every moment we spend together. Julian, you make me feel seen. Valued. You encourage me to be myself, to take up space, to shine. You're patient and kind and you believe in me even when I don't believe in myself. And somewhere along the way I stopped being grateful and started being. She paused, trying to find the right word. In love. Julian suggested softly. Brianna looked up at him, this man who'd driven 3 hours to rescue her, who'd given her a home and a job, who'd stood by her side through everything. Yes, she whispered. I think I'm in love with you. Julian's smile was brilliant. Good. Because I'm completely in love with you. I have been since that day in the coffee shop when you spilled coffee on me and apologized so sincerely I knew you were someone special. But I work for you, Brianna said even as her heart soared. And people will say I'm only with you for your money. And it's only been 2 months since Tyler. Do you care what people think? Julian asked. No, Brianna realized. Not anymore. Then kiss me, Julian said. Because I've wanted to kiss you for 6 months, and I don't want to wait another second. Brianna stood on her tiptoes and pressed her lips to his, and everything else fell away. The wedding, Tyler, Vanessa, the past 2 months of pain and healing. None of it mattered. What mattered was this moment, this kiss, this man who'd helped her find herself again. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Julian rested his forehead against hers. Come home with me, he said. Not to the guest room. To my room. To my life. Let's stop pretending this is temporary and start building something real. Okay, Brianna said simply. Yes. Let's do that. As they drove home, Brianna's phone buzzed with messages from relatives and friends who'd been at the wedding, all wanting to know about her and Julian, all shocked that she'd come and handled everything with such grace. She ignored them all except one from Patricia. Girl, I saw the pictures on social media. You looked amazing. Now stop checking your phone and go be happy. Brianna smiled and put her phone away. She was going to be happy. Finally, genuinely happy. With a man who saw her, valued her, and loved her for exactly who she was. The future had never looked brighter. The morning after the wedding, Brianna woke up in Julian's arms. They talked until dawn, sharing dreams and fears and plans for the future. He kissed her goodnight at his bedroom door and let her make the choice about what came next. She'd chosen to stay with him and they'd fallen asleep wrapped around each other, content just to be close. Now, with sunlight streaming through the windows, Brianna felt more at peace than she had in years. She watched Julian sleep, taking in the relaxed lines of his face, the gentle rise and fall of his chest. This was real. This was happening. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand, shattering the peaceful moment. She reached for it carefully, trying not to wake Julian. 23 missed calls. 15 from Tyler, 8 from Vanessa. Julian stirred. What time is it? Almost 10, Brianna said. I'm sorry my phone woke you. He pulled her closer. Don't be sorry. I get to wake up with you. That's all I need. Then he noticed her expression. What's wrong? Tyler and Vanessa have been calling all morning, Brianna said. As if on cue, her phone rang again. Tyler's name flashed on the screen. Want me to answer it? Julian offered. No, Brianna said. I'll handle this. She answered. Hello. Brianna, thank God, Tyler said, his voice agitated. I need to talk to you. In person. It's important. Tyler, it's your first day as a married man, Brianna said. You should be with your wife. That's what I need to talk to you about, Tyler said. Can you meet me? Just for coffee? Please? No, Brianna said firmly. Whatever you need to say, you can say it over the phone. There was a long pause. I can't marry Vanessa. I made a huge mistake. Last night, after you left, we had this massive fight because she saw how I looked at you. She accused me of still being in love with you and Brianna. She was right. I am. I never stopped. Brianna sat up in bed, incredulous. Are you joking right now? I'm serious, Tyler insisted. Vanessa and I, it was exciting at first, but it's not real. You and I had something real. We built a life together. We understood each other. I was an idiot to throw that away, but it's not too late. We can still fix this. Tyler, you got married last night, Brianna said, her voice rising. To my cousin. In front of 200 people. You made vows. Vows I'm already regretting, Tyler said. Please, Brianna. Meet me. Let me explain. I know I hurt you, but I can make it right. Julian was sitting up now, his expression dark. He reached for the phone, but Brianna shook her head. She needed to handle this herself. No, Tyler, Brianna said clearly. You can't make it right. You humiliated me. You made me doubt everything about myself. You spent 3 years criticizing me and making me feel like I was too much, and then you left me for someone else at our engagement party. Do you have any idea how much that hurt? I know, and I'm sorry, Tyler said desperately. I was confused. I thought I wanted someone different, but I was wrong. You're the one I love. You're the one I should have married. Well, you didn't, Brianna said. You married Vanessa. And I've moved on. I'm happy now, Tyler. Genuinely happy. With someone who actually values me. That billionaire? Tyler's tone turned bitter. Come on, Brianna. You've known him for what, 2 months? That's not love. That's gratitude. He helped you when you were vulnerable, and you're confusing that with actual feelings. Don't tell me what I'm feeling, Brianna said sharply. You lost that right when you betrayed me. Julian is kind and supportive, and he makes me feel like I matter. He encourages me to be myself instead of constantly telling me I'm too loud or too opinionated or too much. With him, I'm enough. I'm more than enough. That's not gratitude. That's love. So that's it, Tyler said. You're just going to throw away 3 years because of one mistake? One mistake. Brianna couldn't believe what she was hearing. Tyler, you had an affair with my cousin for months. You humiliated me publicly. You're calling me the day after you married her to say you want me back. These aren't mistakes. This is who you are. And I deserve better. Brianna, please? No, she interrupted. I'm done, Tyler. I'm done letting you make me feel small. I'm done accepting less than I deserve. I'm done with you. Have a good life with Vanessa. I hope you learn how to be faithful to her, but honestly, I don't think you will. She hung up before he could respond and immediately blocked his number. Julian pulled her into his arms. I'm so proud of you. That was harder than I expected, Brianna admitted, her hands shaking slightly. You stood up for yourself, Julian said, kissing the top of her head. You set boundaries. You chose yourself. That takes real courage. Before Brianna could respond, her phone rang again. Vanessa this time. Don't answer it, Julian advised. But Brianna thought about everything Vanessa had said and done over the past 2 months. The cruel comments, the smug superiority, the wedding invitation designed to hurt. She wanted closure with her cousin too. Hello, Vanessa. Did Tyler call you? Vanessa demanded without preamble. Yes. What did he say? Brianna considered lying to protect Vanessa's feelings, then decided her cousin didn't deserve that courtesy. He said he made a mistake marrying you. That he's still in love with me. That he wants me back. Vanessa's sharp intake of breath was audible. And what did you say? I said no. I told him I've moved on and I'm happy now. There was a long silence. When Vanessa spoke again, her voice was thick with tears. I knew it. I knew when I saw how he looked at you last night. He never looks at me like that. I thought maybe after we got married he'd forget about you, but he can't, can he? Despite everything, Brianna felt a twinge of pity. Vanessa, Tyler doesn't love me. He loves the idea of what he lost. He's one of those people who only wants what he can't have. When he was with me, he wanted you. Now that he's with you, he wants me. If he got me back, he'd eventually want someone else. You're probably right, Vanessa said quietly. Brianna, I'm sorry. For everything. I was jealous of you, you know. You always seemed so confident and happy, and Tyler talked about you all the time. Even when we started our affair, he'd compare me to you. I thought if I could take him away from you, it would prove I was better. But I'm not better. I'm just the person he settled for when he couldn't have you anymore. Brianna didn't know what to say to that. Part of her wanted to comfort Vanessa, but a larger part remembered the pain and humiliation her cousin had caused. I can't be your therapist, Vanessa, Brianna said finally. You made choices that hurt me deeply. You need to figure out your marriage on your own. I know, Vanessa whispered. For what it's worth, you looked beautiful last night. And that man you were with. The way he looked at you like you were the only person in the room. Tyler never looked at me like that. Or you probably. You deserve someone who sees you that way. I found him, Brianna said, looking at Julian. After she hung up, she blocked Vanessa's number too. How do you feel? Julian asked. Free, Brianna said, surprised by the truth of it. I feel free. Tyler and Vanessa and everything that happened. It's done. It's in the past. I don't have to carry it anymore. Good, Julian said. Because we have a future to build and I don't want the past weighing us down. They spent the rest of the day at home, making breakfast together, watching movies and talking about what came next. Julian suggested Brianna might want to look for her own apartment eventually, so their relationship could develop outside of the boss/employee/roommate dynamic, but he also made it clear she could stay as long as she wanted. I like having you here, he admitted. I like waking up with you. I like making breakfast with you. I like coming home to you. But I want you to feel like you're choosing this, not just accepting it because you don't have other options. I am choosing this, Brianna said. Maybe in a few months I'll want my own place. But right now I'm happy here. With you. Is that okay? More than okay, Julian said, pulling her close for a kiss that made her forget about everything except how much she loved this man. On Monday morning they drove to work together, and Brianna felt the curious stares of employees who'd heard about the weekend. Patricia cornered her immediately. Girl, social media is blowing up with pictures from that wedding, Patricia said. You and Julian looked amazing together and apparently Tyler tried to confront him? What happened? Brianna gave her a brief rundown of the weekend's events, leaving out the more personal details. That man is a mess, Patricia said, shaking her head. But you handled that with so much grace. I'm impressed. I had good support, Brianna said, glancing toward Julian's office. Speaking of which, Patricia said with a knowing smile, are you two together now? Like officially? Yes, Brianna said, unable to hide her happiness. We are. Patricia hugged her. I'm so happy for you. You both deserve this. The rest of the team offered similar congratulations throughout the day. Everyone seemed genuinely pleased that Brianna and Julian had found each other, and there was no judgment about their relationship or the timeline. That afternoon, Julian called a company-wide meeting to address the situation directly. I want to be transparent with everyone, he said, standing in front of the assembled employees. Brianna Walker and I are in a relationship. This developed naturally over the past 2 months, and we've been very careful to maintain professional boundaries at work. However, I recognize that this situation could be perceived as inappropriate given that I'm the CEO and she's an employee. So I want to make some changes. He looked at Brianna, who nodded encouragingly. Effective immediately, Brianna will no longer report to me directly, Julian continued. She'll report to our VP of Operations, Michael Foster, who will handle all matters related to her performance reviews, raises, and promotions. I'm also establishing a company-wide policy about workplace relationships that requires disclosure and management approval to ensure no conflicts of interest. Brianna and I will be the first to follow this policy, and we'll set the example for how this can be done ethically. The room was silent for a moment, then someone started clapping. Soon the entire room was applauding. After the meeting, Michael Foster approached Brianna with a smile. Welcome to my team, he said. Julian told me about the marketing campaign results. I'm looking forward to working with you. Thank you, Brianna said. I'll do my best. That evening as she and Julian drove home, Brianna felt content. The past was settled. The present was good. And the future looked bright. You know what today was? Julian asked as they pulled into the driveway. What? The first day of the rest of our lives, he said with a smile. How does it feel? Perfect, Brianna said honestly. Absolutely perfect. But as she said it, she thought about Tyler's desperate phone call and Vanessa's tearful confession. She thought about how quickly Tyler's marriage was already falling apart. Part of her wondered if there would be more fallout to come. She pushed the thought away. Whatever happened with Tyler and Vanessa was their problem now, not hers. She had her own happiness to focus on. 3 weeks after the wedding, Brianna sat in her new office reviewing marketing proposals when Patricia knocked on her door. You have a visitor, Patricia said with an odd expression. Tyler Henderson is in the lobby. He's asking to see you. Brianna's stomach dropped. What? How did he get past security? He told them he's your cousin's husband and it's a family emergency, Patricia explained. Should I have them escort him out? Brianna thought about it. She could hide in her office and let security deal with Tyler. Or she could face him one last time and make it absolutely clear that she wanted nothing to do with him. I'll see him, Brianna decided. But in the lobby, not up here. And would you mind staying nearby? Just in case. Of course, Patricia said. Brianna took the elevator down to the lobby, her heart pounding. Through the glass walls, she could see Tyler pacing near the reception desk. He looked terrible. His hair was messy, his suit was wrinkled, and he had dark circles under his eyes. When he saw her, his face lit up with desperate hope. "Brianna. Thank you for seeing me." "I have 5 minutes," Brianna said coolly. "Then I'm calling security." "Vanessa left me," Tyler blurted out. "She moved back in with her parents. She wants an annulment. Says she can't be married to someone who's in love with someone else." "I'm sorry to hear that," Brianna said, and she was. Not for Tyler but for Vanessa, who'd built her happiness on a foundation of lies and betrayal. "Don't be sorry," Tyler said. "Don't you see? This is a good thing. Now we can be together. Like we were supposed to be." Brianna stared at him in disbelief. "Tyler, did you not hear anything I said when you called me? I don't want to be with you. I'm with Julian now." "But that's—" "Brianna, be realistic," Tyler said, his tone becoming condescending. "You and this billionaire, it's not going to last. You're a novelty to him right now, a project, someone he can feel good about helping. But eventually he's going to get bored and move on to the next person who needs rescuing. That's what rich people do." "You don't know anything about Julian," Brianna said, anger rising in her chest. "You don't know what we have." "I know you," Tyler insisted. "I know you're not the type of woman who ends up with billionaires. You're real. Normal. You work hard and you're kind and you deserve someone who actually understands you. Someone like me." "Someone like you?" Brianna repeated. "Someone who made me feel like I was never good enough? Someone who criticized everything about me? Someone who cheated on me with my own cousin and then humiliated me in front of everyone we know? That's what I deserve." "I was an idiot," Tyler said. "I admit that. But I've learned from my mistakes. I know what I lost. I know you're the best thing that ever happened to me." "No, Tyler," Brianna said firmly. "The best thing that ever happened to you was me walking away. Because it forced you to face who you really are. And maybe if you actually work on yourself instead of jumping from relationship to relationship looking for someone to fix you, you'll be able to have a healthy partnership someday. But that person is not going to be me. So you're really choosing him over me?" Tyler's voice rose. "Over 3 years together? Over everything we built?" "We didn't build anything," Brianna said. "You built a relationship where you had all the power and I had to make myself smaller to fit into your life. That's not love. That's not partnership. Julian and I are building something real. Something equal. Something where I can be myself without apology." "You're making a mistake," Tyler said desperately. "The only mistake I made was staying with you as long as I did," Brianna replied. "Now please leave. And don't come back. If you show up here again I'll get a restraining order." "Brianna." "Goodbye, Tyler." She turned and walked back toward the elevator, her head high and her heart steady. Behind her, she heard Tyler call her name one more time, but she didn't look back. In the elevator, her hands started shaking with adrenaline. She pulled out her phone and texted Julian. "Tyler showed up at work. I handled it, but I need to see you." His response was immediate, "Coming to get you now." When the elevator doors opened on the 3rd floor, Julian was already there waiting for her. He took one look at her face and pulled her into his arms. "Are you okay?" he asked. "I am now," Brianna said, breathing in his familiar scent and letting herself be held. He guided her to his office and closed the door. "Tell me what happened." Brianna recounted the conversation with Tyler, including his dismissive comments about their relationship. Julian's jaw tightened. "He actually said you're not the type of woman who ends up with billionaires?" "It's okay," Brianna said. "He's wrong. And I told him that." "Damn right he's wrong," Julian said. "Brianna, you're the type of woman anyone would be lucky to be with. Your intelligence, your creativity, your kindness, your strength. That has nothing to do with money or status. That's just who you are." "I know that now," Brianna said. "Because you showed me. Tyler spent years making me believe I wasn't enough, but you make me feel like I'm everything." Julian cupped her face in his hands. "You are everything. To me you're everything." They kissed, and Brianna felt all the tension from the confrontation with Tyler melt away. This was real. This was right. This was love. That evening, after work, Julian suggested they go out to dinner at a nice restaurant downtown. Brianna wore a royal blue dress that Julian had bought her the previous week, and Julian wore a dark suit that made him look impossibly handsome. At dinner, over wine and excellent food, Julian reached across the table and took her hand. "I've been thinking," he said. "About us. About the future." Brianna's heart raced. "Okay. I know it's only been a few months since we met," Julian continued. "And I know we agreed to take things slow. But Brianna, I'm 35 years old. I've dated enough to know when something is special. And this, it's not just special. It's everything I've been looking for my entire life. Julian, Brianna whispered. I'm not asking you to marry me, he said quickly. Not yet. I want us to have time to build our relationship without rushing. But I am asking you to move forward with me. To let this be real and serious and permanent. I want you to know that I'm all in. Completely committed to you and to us. Brianna felt tears prick her eyes. I'm all in too. Tyler showing up today just made me more certain. I don't want him. I don't want anyone else. I want you. Just you. Good, Julian said with relief. Because I've already started planning our future in my head. I'm thinking a house with a big kitchen where we can cook together. Maybe a dog. Definitely kids someday if you want them. A life where we both pursue our careers but make time for each other. Travel. Adventures. Growing old together. That sounds perfect, Brianna said, smiling through her tears. All of it. There's one more thing, Julian said, his expression turning serious. I know you've been thinking about starting your own marketing consultancy someday. I want to support that. In fact, I've been talking to my lawyers about how I could help you start that business when you're ready. Not as a gift but as an investment. I believe in your talent, Brianna. I think you could build something amazing. Brianna was overwhelmed. You'd do that for me? I'd do anything for you, Julian said simply. But this isn't charity. This is an investment in someone I believe in. You're brilliant at what you do, and I want to help you achieve your dreams. They talked late into the night about possibilities and plans. About the consulting business Brianna could build. About the causes they both cared about and wanted to support. About traveling to places they'd never been. About building a life that was meaningful and joyful. When they got home, Brianna pulled Julian close and kissed him with all the love and gratitude and joy she felt. Thank you, she whispered against his lips. For seeing me. For valuing me. For loving me. Thank you for letting me, Julian replied. For trusting me with your heart. For being brave enough to start over. For choosing me. Always, Brianna promised. I'll always choose you. That night, wrapped in Julian's arms, Brianna thought about the journey that had brought her here. The pain of betrayal, the humiliation of that engagement party, the fear of starting over. It had all led to this moment, this man, this love. Tyler had been wrong about so many things, but he'd been especially wrong about Julian. This wasn't a rebound or gratitude masquerading as love. This was the real thing. The kind of love that saw you completely and chose you anyway. The kind of love that made you better instead of smaller. The kind of love that lasted. Brianna had found it. And she was never letting it go. 6 months passed in a blur of happiness and growth. Brianna's marketing campaign for Bennett Technologies exceeded every metric, leading to a 15% increase in market share. The board of directors awarded her a significant bonus and offered her a permanent position as chief marketing officer, which she accepted with joy. True to his word, Julian helped her start planning her own marketing consultancy on the side. Walker Consulting would launch in another year, once Brianna had saved enough and built enough industry connections. Julian introduced her to potential clients and mentors, always supporting her dream while respecting her need to build something on her own merit. Their relationship deepened with each passing day. They moved into a new house together, a beautiful place with the big kitchen Julian had promised and a yard perfect for the dog they planned to adopt. Brianna's friends and family, seeing how happy she was, welcomed Julian warmly into their lives. Patricia became Brianna's best friend and confidant. Tom and the rest of the marketing team threw her a surprise party when she was promoted to CMO. Even Brianna's mother, who'd initially been skeptical about the relationship, admitted that Julian was good for her daughter. Tyler and Vanessa's annulment had been finalized quickly. According to Brianna's Aunt Gloria, who kept her updated despite Brianna's protests, Tyler had moved to another city to start fresh. Vanessa was in therapy, working through her issues with jealousy and self-worth. Brianna wished them both well from a distance, grateful their drama was no longer her problem. On a perfect spring Saturday in May, Julian woke Brianna early with coffee and a mysterious smile. "Get dressed," he said. "Something nice but comfortable. We're going on an adventure." "What kind of adventure?" Brianna asked suspiciously. "The kind where you just have to trust me," Julian said with a grin. They drove for 2 hours to a beautiful coastal town Brianna had never visited. Julian parked near a cliff overlooking the ocean, where wildflowers bloomed in brilliant colors and the sound of waves crashing against rocks filled the air. "This is gorgeous," Brianna said, stepping out of the car. "How did you find this place?" "I've been coming here since I was a kid," Julian said, taking her hand and leading her along a path. My mom brought me here once when I was 8 and I never forgot it. This is where I come when I need to think. When I need to remember who I am and what matters. They walked to a point where the cliff jutted out over the water, providing a breathtaking view of the ocean stretching endlessly toward the horizon. This is where I decided to start my company, Julian said. I stood right here, broke and homeless, and I promised myself I'd build something meaningful. That I'd use whatever success I achieved to help people. That I'd never forget where I came from. It's magical, Brianna said, squeezing his hand. It is, Julian agreed. And that's why I wanted to bring you here. Because Brianna, you've become the most important part of my life. You make every day better. You make me better. And I want to spend the rest of my life making you as happy as you make me. He dropped to one knee and Brianna gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. I know it's been less than a year, Julian said, pulling a small velvet box from his pocket. I know some people will say we're rushing. But when you know, you know. And I know that I want to wake up next to you every morning for the rest of my life. I know that I want to build businesses and travel the world and raise children and grow old with you. I know that you're my person, Brianna Walker. Will you marry me? He opened the box to reveal a stunning ring, an emerald set in platinum with small diamonds surrounding it. Emerald green, Brianna whispered through tears. Like the dress I was wearing the night you rescued me. Like the dress that changed my life, Julian corrected. Will you marry me, Brianna? Will you be my wife, my partner, my everything? Yes, Brianna said, crying and laughing at the same time. Yes, yes, yes. Julian slipped the ring onto her finger and stood, pulling her into his arms and kissing her as the ocean wind whipped around them and the sun shone down like a blessing. They planned a 6-month engagement, wanting time to enjoy being engaged before the wedding planning madness began. Brianna asked Patricia to be her maid of honor, and Julian asked his childhood best friend, Marcus. Wait, no, Marcus is banned. Let me fix that. Julian asked his childhood best friend, Kevin, to be his best man. The wedding planning was everything Brianna's almost wedding to Tyler hadn't been. She and Julian made every decision together, choosing things they both loved rather than what tradition dictated. They wanted something meaningful and personal, a celebration of their love surrounded by people who genuinely cared about them. They chose a small venue, a beautiful garden in the countryside that could hold 100 guests. They picked simple but elegant decorations, white flowers and green foliage, natural and unforced. The food would be delicious but not ostentatious. The music would be live but intimate. This is perfect, Brianna said as they finalized the plans. Everything I actually wanted but was too afraid to ask for with Tyler. You never have to be afraid to ask for what you want with me, Julian assured her. Your voice matters. Your preferences matter. You matter. 6 months later, on a gorgeous November afternoon, exactly 1 year after Tyler and Vanessa's wedding, Brianna stood in a private room at the garden venue, looking at herself in the mirror. Her wedding dress was a simple but stunning red gown that hugged her curves and made her feel like herself. Her hair was down in soft curls, and her makeup was natural and glowing. Patricia stood beside her, beautiful in her maroon bridesmaid dress. You ready for this? More ready than I've ever been for anything, Brianna said with absolute certainty. The ceremony was intimate and perfect. Julian stood at the altar in a sharp navy blue suit, his eyes locked on Brianna from the moment she appeared. There was no nervousness, no second thoughts, just pure joy and love. They'd written their own vows. Julian went first. Brianna, he said, his voice steady and sure, you walked into my life when I thought I had everything figured out. You showed me that I'd been missing the most important thing, a true partner. Someone who challenges me, supports me, makes me laugh, and makes me want to be better every single day. You took my rescue and turned it into a partnership. You took my help and turned it into something so much bigger. I promise to always see you, value you, and choose you. I promise to build a life where you can shine as brightly as you deserve. I promise to love you with everything I have every day for the rest of our lives. Brianna's turn came and she smiled through happy tears. Julian, you saved me that night on the steps, but you did so much more than that. You gave me back myself. You showed me what love looks like when it's real and healthy and whole. You encouraged me to be loud, to take up space, to pursue my dreams without apology. You made me feel like I'm enough exactly as I am. I promise to be your partner in all things. I promise to support your dreams while chasing my own. I promise to love you through good times and hard times, through success and challenge. I promise to always choose you, always trust you, always stand by your side. You're my home, my heart, my forever. The officiant pronounced them husband and wife, and Julian kissed Brianna like he'd been waiting his whole life to do it. The small gathering of family and friends erupted in applause and cheers. At the reception that followed, the atmosphere was joyful and relaxed. People danced and laughed and celebrated love that everyone could feel was genuine. Brianna's mother gave a tearful toast about how happy she was to see her daughter truly cherished. Kevin told embarrassing stories about Julian's childhood that had everyone laughing. As Brianna and Julian swayed together during their first dance, she looked around at the faces of people who truly loved them and felt overwhelming gratitude. "Happy," Julian murmured in her ear. "Happier than I ever thought possible," Brianna said honestly. The moment was interrupted by a commotion near the entrance. Brianna looked over Julian's shoulder and felt her stomach drop. Tyler Henderson stood at the entrance to the garden, looking disheveled and desperate. "I need to speak," he called out loudly. "I object to this marriage." The music stopped. Everyone turned to stare. Julian's arms tightened protectively around Brianna. "Sir, you need to leave," Kevin said, moving toward Tyler. "Not until I say what I came to say," Tyler insisted, pushing past him and walking toward Brianna and Julian. "Brianna, you can't marry him. You're making a mistake. I love you. I've always loved you. This whole past year has been torture knowing I lost you. Please don't do this." Brianna stepped away from Julian, and for a moment, everyone held their breath, wondering what she would do. She walked toward Tyler, her red dress flowing behind her, and stopped a few feet away from him. "Tyler," she said quietly but clearly enough that everyone could hear, "I did love you once. I built my whole life around the idea of being with you. But you taught me an important lesson when you left me. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is actually the best thing that could have happened." She turned to look at Julian, who stood tall and steady, completely trusting her. "Julian doesn't just love me," Brianna continued, turning back to Tyler. "He sees me. He values my mind, my ideas, my strength. He encourages me to be myself, loud and opinionated and taking up space. He makes me better not by changing who I am, but by loving exactly who I am. That's what real love looks like, Tyler. And I'm sorry you never learned that." "Brianna, please," Tyler said desperately. "No," Brianna said firmly. "I'm done with please. I'm done with second-guessing myself. I'm done with you. Today I'm marrying a man who chose me every single day for a year. A man who saw me at my lowest and helped me find my highest. A man who is my true partner in every sense of the word. If you ever actually loved me, you'll respect that and leave." "But..." "Leave, Tyler," Julian said, coming to stand beside Brianna. "This is her day. Our day. You don't get to ruin it." Security guards appeared at Tyler's elbows, ready to escort him out. Tyler looked between Brianna and Julian, and something in Brianna's expression must have finally convinced him she meant it. His shoulders slumped. "I hope you'll be happy," he said quietly. "I already am," Brianna replied. As security escorted Tyler out, the guests erupted in supportive applause. Brianna turned to Julian, and he pulled her into his arms. "You were magnificent," he whispered. "I had a year to practice being magnificent," Brianna said with a smile. "Thanks to you." The music started again and they resumed their dance, and this time nothing interrupted them. They swayed together as husband and wife, surrounded by love and support, knowing that whatever challenges came their way, they would face them together. Later that night, after all the guests had left and they were alone in their hotel suite, Julian pulled Brianna close. "Mrs. Bennett," he said, trying out her new name. "I like the sound of that," Brianna said, snuggling into his embrace. "Do you have any regrets?" Julian asked. "About how fast everything moved? About Tyler showing up?" Brianna thought about it seriously. A year ago she'd been broken and lost, sitting on cold stone steps waiting for rescue. Now she was married to an incredible man, successful in her career, confident in herself and genuinely happy. "No regrets," she said firmly. "Every moment, every challenge, every decision led me here. Led me to you. How could I regret that?" "Good," Julian said, kissing the top of her head. "Because I have plans for us. So many plans. Building businesses, traveling the world, making a difference, raising a family. I want it all with you." "Then let's have it all," Brianna said, tilting her face up to kiss him. "Together." And they did. They built Walker Consulting into one of the most successful marketing firms in the country. They traveled to 23 countries over the next 5 years. They adopted not one but 2 dogs. They welcomed twin daughters, Sophia and Grace, who inherited Brianna's confidence and Julian's kindness. They donated millions to causes they believed in, including a scholarship fund for young people from low-income backgrounds pursuing business degrees. They faced challenges, of course. Every relationship does. But they faced them together with honesty and communication and unwavering commitment to each other. And sometimes, when life got particularly hard or confusing, they would drive back to that cliff overlooking the ocean, the place where Julian had proposed. They would stand together, hand in hand, looking out at the endless horizon, and remember the journey that brought them together. A journey that started with a spilled cup of coffee, a desperate phone call, and a man kind enough to drive 3 hours to rescue a stranger. A journey that proved sometimes the worst moments of your life are actually redirecting you toward the best moments. A journey that showed love isn't about being saved, it's about being seen, valued, and chosen every single day. Brianna Walker Bennett had found all of that and more. She'd found her home, her heart, her forever. And she'd found herself along the way.